This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. So I wanted to do this video independently of the video about the quarterback, because I don't want my criticisms of other things that went wrong around the quarterback to create cover for the accountability that needs to take place at that position. So I decided to separate these videos because oftentimes when I bring up, hey, the offensive line didn't play well, I don't think this guy had a great game, that guy had a great game, DeJuan Jones was awful, it becomes fuel for people to run out here and use that as cover for the fact that Deshaun Watson is not even close to looking like a superstar quarterback, and there's really nothing encouraging you, making you feel like it's on the way. I think he's playing worse than he did in 2023. He looks worse. He's not driving the ball downfield with as much accuracy. He's not as accurate on his downfield passing. This looks like a worse version than he was. But this isn't a video about Deshaun Watson. I dropped that video earlier. This is a video about everything else that I felt like has been going wrong for the team. And I think the first place that a lot of people want to focus on is the offensive line. Now, to be fair to the offensive line, this has probably been the side of the team that's been dealing with the most injuries, right? DeJuan Jones has been in and out of the lineup. Now James Hudson is in and out. They were dealing with these injuries all throughout camp. Jack Conklin, who just looked like he was going to be cleared, got a hamstring injury before this game. Jed Wills, who came back off of injury, hurt his knee in this game. The Browns are dealing with it, right? Wyatt Teller left this game. He's out. He was out for the game, which is concerning about his status next week. We were down to playing Zach Zinter at right guard. DeJuan Jones was in, and like it was not by the choice of the Browns that DeJuan Jones was in the game at that point. DeJuan Jones, I think, did get benched for James Hudson at some point, and that's a whole nother conversation that we're going to have in this video. And then playing center was Nick Harris, playing guard was Ethan Posick, and then playing tackle was Joel Bitonio, while also having Kevin Zeitler at guard. At one point during this game, the Browns had all five of their offensive linemen playing out of position, right? Or having backups in. Technically, DeJuan Jones is the backup to Jack Conklin, and also DeJuan Jones had been benched in that game for James Hudson. So, backup right there, right guard, Zach Zinter, backup, Nick Harris, backup, and then two starting offensive linemen playing out of position at left tackle and left guard. We were definitely in emergency mode offensively, but the bulk of the issues that the offensive line had happened in the first half of the game. Now, look, some of those issues were more on the Browns trying to get away with 5-0 protection and the New York Giants sending more than the Browns had. The Browns had 5 in protection. The Giants sent 6. If the Browns had 6 in protection, the Giants sent 7. They were just overwhelming the Browns' offensive line. And when a team does that, the way to counter it is with draws and screens. The Browns weren't successful on their draws, and they weren't successful on their screens, which made that problem even worse. I don't think what happened in the first half is as much about an individual effort from the offensive line as some people think it is. I think it's simple. They were able to send more at the Browns offensive line than the Browns offensive line could protect because they were blitzing a lot of guys. The blitz percentage for the Giants in this game was very high, and I think that was a huge part of the success in the first half. I actually thought they did a little bit better in the second half, actually a lot better in the second half, And I think that showed itself because the Browns didn't give up as many sacks in the second half, despite having every single offensive lineman either at backup or out of position. I can't imagine that alignment of the Browns at the end is better, but they just stopped blitzing as much. And then once they did start blitzing, we had the same issues. So that, to me, is on Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski for staying in 5-0 protection far too often. I think they thought they could get away with it. It was apparent they couldn't. They tried to get out of it. Then they had no success in plays out of it. So they kind of dug themselves into a hole because they made an assumption that was wrong. I don't think I was 100% on the offensive line. What was bad from an individual standpoint on the offensive line was DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones was the one offensive lineman I was pointing to, and I was like, hey, a lot of these guys are getting beat because they're getting overwhelmed. Like, I know people are going to point to Jed Wills, but Jed Wills was dealing with overloads on his side all game. The guy that was getting beat far too often in one-on-one situations was DeJuan Jones. He's absolutely getting murdered out there. Getting caught with bad feet, trying to reach guys around. It seems like those smaller pass rushers give him an issue because he can't keep up with them with his feet, or something was going on with them injury-wise where he couldn't keep up with it. All I know is at some point, DeJuan Jones was on the sideline with his helmet on, so he was healthy, and James Hudson was in the game until James Hudson got injured. And it got better. DeJuan Jones was awful in this game. Awful. I'll look at the tape to confirm it, but preliminary, I know he gave up at least 2 sacks. The strip sack, right, that happened with Deshaun Watson after the 4th and 1, that was on DeJuan Jones 100%. 100% on DeJuan Jones. I just think the Giants defensive coordinator did a good job working around what the Browns wanted to do offensively and took advantage of it for the most part. And then you had some individually bad performances like DeJuan Jones out. The second thing that went wrong in that game was Jerome Ford and Cedric Tillman not hanging on to the football. Yeah, the Browns had 2 fumbles on this game. I would not charge Deshaun with those 2 fumbles in this game. As much as I think he is underwhelmed, I don't think those 2 fumbles are on him. Jerome Ford's got to hang on to that football. It was right in his chest. And then the second fumble that happened was a strip sack, and I blame that 100% on DeJuan Jones. That was an awful rep by him. I mean, you can't do that to your quarterback and think good things are going to happen. So that is definitely a way you did not help your quarterback in this game. I think this fumble from Jerome Ford actually ended up being way more consequential than any of the other plays that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Cedric Tillman drop or the Amari Cooper incomplete pass there at the end of this game. But we got to be honest about how those drives were going. Those drives didn't really have much juice to them. The Browns weren't able to move the ball at a good clip, and the Giants were doing a good job of containing whatever the Browns wanted to do. So there's no guarantee, even if Cedric Tillman catches that ball, that the Browns get down the field and score the touchdown that is necessary. But the fumble by Jerome Ford, and it's going to be credited to Deshaun Watson, but that's really Jerome Ford's fault. The fumble there is ridiculous because the Browns were driving down the field on that possession. They got 23 yards on their first play, 7 yards on their second play in that drive, and 6 yards on their third play. They were moving that ball at a clip, and then Jerome Ford just fumbles that ball. Just doesn't catch the handoff. That was the drive where I think the Browns had the best chance to score in that game. There are other drives where the Browns didn't do anything with it, right? I think the Giants fumbled, and then the Browns had a missed field goal. The Browns got the ball on like the Giants 45 to start that drive. So obviously there were other missed opportunities in that game, but gotta say, it feels like that Jerome Ford fumble was like the definitive thing that where I feel like, hey, I think they would have won that game. That was the one opportunity I felt like they missed on. The other opportunity where they went for it on 4th and 1 and did not get it, I think because I saw it out the corner of my eye on like a quick replay that Fox showed. I'm not 100% sure about it, but I'm pretty sure I saw Jordan Atkins wide open running out, and Deshaun didn't hit him. So I think Deshaun wanted to run for that first down. He wanted to make sure it happened. He didn't want to leave it up to somebody dropping a pass. So he tried to get it himself. That's the decision he made. Ended up being a bad decision. But the Browns really weren't moving the ball in that drive, so I don't know if they would have scored. Same thing goes for that last drive where you don't get that catch. And it was a great pass by Deshaun. It just doesn't get caught there. But earlier you have a pass attempt. I believe that was going to be like for 20, 30 yards. Amari Cooper's open. And for whatever reason, those two couldn't connect on that one. There was another one where Elijah Moore popped open earlier in the game and Deshaun didn't get the ball to him. Again, this isn't the Deshaun Watson video, but there were just a lot of missed opportunities here for the offense, which is why I want to talk about the defense here, right? Because the defense is going to get a lot of flack for how they started this game, and they started this game pretty bad. They gave up 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones was looking like Joe Montana out there, and Malik Neighbors looked like Jerry Rice. It was like unstoppable, the New York Giants offense. They had 2 drives of 80-plus yards. I think they had a 93-yard drive in there with no penalties that helped them or assisted them, which is like unspeakably bad for this Browns defense, given what the expectation is of them. And then the Browns fumbled because of the DeJuan Jones thing, and then that led to another touchdown that the defense gave up. 21 points in the first half is not good, but they did also pitch a shutout in the second half. And not only pitched a shutout, gave the Browns so many chances to get back in this game. So it's like my evaluation of them in this game is difficult. Because on one hand, they created the hole that the Browns offense ended up having to dig themselves out of. But boy, did they give the Browns offense so many opportunities to get out of it. Like they worked overtime to try to dig themselves out this hole. They got a fumble. They got a bunch of 3-and-outs. They got lucky with some missed field goals. The one drive where the Browns go not 3-and-out. They go for it on 4th down. They give the ball back at the 50-yard line. Browns give up no yards, actually force them back 1 yard, and then force them to punt when that felt like automatic points, and still the offense does nothing with it. Like, yes, could the defense have played better in the first half? I agree. But boy, did they give you a chance to win. So how do the Browns fix these problems that are around the quarterback position? One, I don't think these problems are easily able to be separated from the quarterback position. I don't think you can just independently fix these things and not address quarterback. I think addressing quarterback does allow you to address some of the other problems going on, right? I think it's obvious that the Browns went into this season and they wanted to go in a lot of empty. They wanted to go in a lot of 5-0 protections. They wanted to let Deshaun handle a lot of the protection stuff, and it's clear to me he's not doing a good job of that, or whoever's in charge of the protections not doing a good job of that. Also, that this offensive line is not going to be able to survive in a lot of 5 1/4 protections, right? Like 5 and a chip. It does not feel like they're going to be able to survive. Even if they're healthy, I don't think they're going to be able to do well in 5-0 protections, especially with Deshaun's back there waiting for things to pop open because he wants to hit a choice route down the field. I don't think that's going to be the case. So you got to change up your protections. You got to run more tight ends out there. You got to put eligible offensive linemen out there as eligible receivers. You got to run more 12. Less 11, a little bit more 12, keep a running back in, and your wide receivers have to do a better job of just straight up being able to win, right? Because when you're running less receivers out there because you want to protect better, you really need your wide receivers to win in the coverages that they're in, so you need better wide receiver play as well. The reason I don't think these are easily able to be separated is because I think Deshaun Watson wants to play and is more comfortable playing in 11, in empty, with 5-0 protection. Like, that's where he's comfortable. And I don't think that's where the Browns can live at. It's not just that Deshaun's not playing great. It's also that because of how Deshaun Watson plays and because of how you have to play when Deshaun Watson's out there, it's exacerbating other problems that you have on this roster. I think it would be easier to hide these problems if you were able to run different personnels and be able to run different concepts and execute them at a high level. Bottom line, quarterback play just has to be better than what it is. And I don't care who does it. It's got to be better than this. And you have to have a quarterback who's okay playing under center and playing with heavier personnel, because right now the Browns can't live trying to play 5-0, trying to block straight up with their 5 offensive linemen. It's just not working. They're not able to do it. They're going to play tougher defensive lines than the New York Giants, then the Dallas Cowboys. They got to figure something out there. They can't just live like that. They gotta get heavier. They gotta help those offensive linemen out a little bit more, especially if they're going to be going through the amount of injuries that the team is currently going through. So that's a big part of it. I think the problems defensively will sort themselves out during the course of the season. They feel like that variety. But if you're looking at this game and you're looking at what needs to be improved, it's the style of protection that they're using right now. I just don't think that's a good protection plan for this group of guys, especially if we're going to be this injured. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.